Right, you're all set. Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our regularly scheduled committee meeting for GAVAT. Today, March 4th, 2024. At the table, we have voting members, Councillor Fish, Councillor Schaefer, Councillor Trimble. We also have Councillor Leonard, Councillor Fournier, Councillor Dean, and myself, Councillor Yaqub Aga. Also, we have Courtney O'Donnell, who is the city manager's assistant, and we have David Sevchek.
Sevchek, yes.
Sevchek.
Yes.
Yeah, at the table. So let's start with the agenda. The first item is administrative consent agreements, vacant properties. It is always a topic, so
Yeah.
we're back.
This is something that I've mentioned more than a couple of times in the past that I was going to bring in front of you. It's a proposed ordinance change in the enforcement section of the vacant buildings ordinance. It's to give the Director of Economic and Community Development the authority to sign administrative consent agreements that would allow us to enforce the the vacant building registration ordinance outside of court involvement. These administrative consent agreements, to have a staff member to sign them is a practical thing, and it's just kind of a basic step, in my opinion, to make the enforcement of that ordinance more efficient. In the past, when I mentioned it, I suggested that it would be the code enforcement officer that would be requested for the authority to sign it. But after staff's suggestion, it was determined that it would be better to have the Director of Economic and the Community and Economic Development Director to sign the agreements as a way of kind of a checks and balances kind of thing. And then the proposed ordinance change also says that you know, in the absence of the Director of Community and Economic Development, of the city solicitor and the city manager would have the authority to sign those agreements. And I have had experience in enforcing land use ordinances for a very long time, and used ACAs to further enforcement. And I just think this is a basic step that should be done to make the enforcement of that statute more efficient with the goal of reducing the number of vacant properties in the city. And I'd be glad to field any questions that you have.
Any questions? Councilor Leonard?
No, I just want to say, this is a really great model to help prevent gentrification in a city. Vacant properties, are very much an issue when, people are experiencing, any sort of, issue related to poverty in an area. And as we already know, we're going to see just, because we had, Chamber President Deb Newman here before, explain to us why there's going to be more of a migration of people coming into the Bangor area. It's important that we get this underway as soon as possible, on top of other ways to help fight the efforts of gentrification to establish itself in Bangor. So I am looking very forward to implementing this in the city.
Councilor
Never
Turnbull?
hold approval.
Second. Oh, I'm sorry, I can't.
Second. It's approved and seconded, so it's gonna go to the council, right, for approval.
You're recommending approval?
Yes,
then it
recommending
would go to
approval, yeah,
council, yeah.
to go to the council. Okay, awesome.
All right,
Okay.
very good.
Thank
Thank you.
David. Thank you. Second item on our agenda, community connected updates.
Yes,
Do you have good news for us?
not terrible news.
Okay.
Yeah, I had promised in a previous meeting a little more robust of an update, so I just
Mhm.
wanted to touch base on the fixed stop transition from the flag stop system. We were originally hoping to implement that this month for a 6-month transition period before moving fully into the fixed stop. However, as the contractor's been placing the sticks in the ground, as we like to call them, for the bus stops, we've run into some issues that we felt were would be more beneficial to be proactive about correcting those now before we actually start that transition period. We always knew that the stops would likely need to be adjusted a bit. And so like, bus superintendent Lori Linscott, who I believe is on Zoom, has literally been like driving, in a bus with the contractor and talking through, you know, this needs to be moved because the ramp needs to be able to be put down in a safe location. Little things like that that weren't originally necessarily taken into account when the placing of the bus stops, which was more about distance between the stops and all sorts of other factors, but the practical piece of actually, you know, pulling a bus up to them. So this is a new sort of shift for us, but by doing this, we hope that it will actually benefit the riders more so in the long run and require less adjustments once they've gotten used to actually going to the stops. And of course, we have a plan for our press release and all sorts of messaging in the buses and through social and things to make folks aware of the transition period. Drivers will be talking with their passengers on a regular basis and things of that nature, so that when the cutoff date happens, where it is fully fixed stop, it won't be a surprise to anyone. Everybody will be prepared and understand. And then over time, we will chip away at adding infrastructure around these stops. We know some further adjustments will be required, but our long-term goal would be to build them out to be more robust and accommodating to our passengers. So if there's no questions,
Any
any
questions?
questions?
Yes, Councilor Fish.
How much more of a delay do you think that?
Oh, we're hoping for next month. So
just a
not,
short delay.
yeah, not
Okay.
terribly significant. We knew that the weather might get in our way, and it has just a little bit between the thawing and freezing and whatnot, but overall, yeah, not too significant, I don't think.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So I just have a question, please, just to help me understand more about what you're talking about. So you're talking about adjusting the already assigned stops to accommodate more people, maybe?
Nope, so you may remember that we had contracted with Dax to actually
Yes.
like determine where
The
stops should
yeah.
go. And that was based off of different factors, like how far in between they were,
Yeah,
the location, safety aspects, things of that nature. But we the reason why is it's literally like this bus stop needs to move like 6 feet,
Adjusting,
sort of a
that's what I
thing.
mean. So just adjusting. the stop.
Adjusting, yeah, it's
okay,
not like a big
okay.
overhaul or
Yeah.
anything, it's just little movements, and when you
Yeah.
put a stick in the ground, you have to go through dig safe to make sure it's safe to put the stick there, so it's a little bit of a process.
Mhm, mhm.
But we also don't wanna place, we don't wanna place a stop where the bus can like safely only stop like, say, 8 feet past, cause like if I'm a passenger, if I'm at the bus stop, I want it to be the bus stop, right? Like, and we wanna be as accommodating as
Yeah.
possible. So they're mostly minor changes. We're just finding more throughout the system than we originally expected. There's, I think, 388 stops.
Wow.
So, yeah, just trying to be proactive in terms of making those small adjustments sooner rather than later.
Okay, awesome, thank you.
Yeah.
Any questions? Yes,
I
Councilor
think I know
Trimble.
the answer, just to be sure. So with the fixed stop, if I'm the bus driver and I'm heading up a street and there's nobody at the fixed stop, am I going by or am I stopping at a fixed stop?
No, you would keep going.
Okay, that's what
Yeah.
I thought.
They will, one of my updates is that we continue to work with our, vendor Passio for the technology integration. And, part of that is that real-time information, not only for users using the app wanting to know like how to ride the bus, but also for our dispatchers to understand exactly where the buses are they on time, are they behind, things of that, so we can make adjustments. But in general, if nobody's there, they will keep going, which is usually offset in another location where you might have more people coming on and off. So, but there's also like windows of time, I believe, where, you know, you want to hit, like, they might actually have to pause a few extra minutes to make sure they're not too far ahead of the schedule and things of that nature.
And once that technology is in place, we'll actually have ridership data that we can look at as far
Yes.
as numbers and things.
I
like
would
that.
say, more, accurate ridership
Right.
information. Right now, it's literally like a punch, from our drivers that are keeping track of that. Also like, you know, the tickets that people come in, things of that nature. And this system will have an automatic rider counter. As people get on the bus, it will count folks. And I did include in your packets, ridership report that included historical information as well as this fiscal year through January. And it was actually, it was a nice exercise. It's really great to see that we are getting really close to returning to pre-pandemic numbers in terms of ridership. In fact, we are on pace to basically blow last year's numbers out of the water because we still have 4 months left of this year. And we're only 100,000 away from where the total ridership was last year. So it's really positive seeing it bouncing back in a significant way. And another piece of this too, at the same time, we've been wanting to see our ridership increase. Our ADA paratransit service has also increased significantly over the last few years. In fact, I did some quick math earlier in the past 3 years, it's increased over 50% in terms of the rides we are doing. We went from just a few vans to I think we're up to 7 now. And unfortunately, which gets me a nice little segue into drivers, is that ADA paratransit is a great, fantastic service for those that are unable to ride the fixed route. But you can't deny them. You have to fulfill the ride. So there have been cases where on paper, we look like we're fully staffed, but we do have a handful of folks that are either out on medical or don't have their passenger endorsement, which is required for the driving fixed route. And so we could have, 6 or 7 drivers out of our total in a day driving ADA paratransit, which means that we have other drivers, frequently, we have multiple doubles in a day to make sure that the buses are getting where they need to go. So that's something that we're really evaluating. I think the old staffing numbers didn't really take into account the ballooning sort of ADA paratransit. And so we're evaluating ways of what that should look like moving forward to make sure that we can meet the need on both sides. So yeah, we are much better off now in terms of our driver numbers since I started a few years ago. So it is we're moving in the right direction, although I guess I should knock on wood. But yeah.
I have a question, please. So you mentioned that paratransit has increased in number significantly in the past few years. That's
Yes.
not 5. So now probably have you guys thought about that with the fixed stops, there will be even further increase because maybe certain people can't walk to the bus stop and they will need the paratransit service?
I don't think that we'll see that happen, but we're certainly prepared if it did. We can do what's called, a reasonable modification to fixed route,
Mhm.
for folks that, can ride the bus with a little bit of a reasonable modification, but may not actually qualify for ADA paratransit itself. So we can make minor adjustments. It could be that the bus stops, 500 feet before the actual bus
Oh.
stop to accommodate somebody. But there is an actual process, an application process that folks need to go through for ADA paratransit service. And it's not free, it's not a main care ride, they do pay for the service. It's fairly minimal. So I don't anticipate, Lori, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
I think we don't have audio.
Uh-oh, here we go. Lori, are you there?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
I can.
Okay. Did you want to add anything?
No, you did a great job. Reasonable modification is something that we can do easily. It's something that they can do with just asking the bus driver.
Yeah, thank you. She's done a great job pounding that in my head, so that might be the first time I fully got it right. So, yeah, thank you, Lori. Any other questions?
Councillor Leonard?
I just want to say, Lori, you do a tremendous job, and I apologize for giving you a heart attack the other day when I accidentally crashed into a bus a couple weeks ago. You are amazing at what you do. I don't know how you do it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So, I see that's it on our agenda.
Yes.
Okay, we are adjourned if there are no more comments or questions.